Uh, I started here like in the 80s, and those guys all took care of me, all the Boston acts, Gavin and Sweeney and Leary and John Panette, and they were all cool to me. So it was a lot of fun. But now don't forget, I'm from Philly, so I was a little nervous coming into this town. I didn't know if they were going to jump me, but I realized, because we used to hate the Celtics, and then we hate them because they beat us so much. And then I came up here and I met the people. I go, what did I hate? They're the same as us, except they win. You know.
So tell me, So tell me a little bit about sort of that Boston versus Philly, I guess, rivalry. You can kind of call it.
Well, I guess you'd call it a rivalry, but they won so many that I think the Sixers won in '67 and '83, and the Celtics were still really good. Well, that was the Bird teams in the early '80s. You know, the Dom Irrera wasn't very funny, but he was so informative. I was riveted. I'd never go see him do stand-up, but I'd like to hear him do a lecture somewhere on bullshit. So tell me about your needs. Right?
My needs?
What makes you tick? What makes a kid like you tick?
I don't know.
No, I love this town. I don't want to, I can't go on radio in Philly and say that this is the best city in the Northeast. Please do not print that. Send it to my people. They'll lynch me. But it's a great city. There's not one, it's the only place I've ever been, there's not one school, college, university that I could have gotten into. Everything's above my head. Yeah. You know, you could always tell who came from what by the way they looked. Like when I used to do the Comedy Connection, I'm at Laugh Boston now, and I'll never go back to any other place. I love this place. I don't know why, but I do. I could always tell who saw what TV show I was on by what they look like. Talk about judging a book by its cover, totally. They were nerdy kids, look kind of, really nice, Woody Allen-ish. It was always Harvard or MIT. That was from Dr. Katz. If it was like a kid who looked like he lived in his mother's basement with kind of withered, pale arms or an AC/DC T-shirt on, he watched Full Frontal Comedy. That was an old show. And if it was somebody who was a jock, it was Offsides, which was on Comedy Central. And now, which is really cool, I can tell the people in their 20s. I was on Hey Arnold for 5 years. Remember Hey Arnold? And they always respond to that. I go, thank you for giving me a career. The people in their 20s, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be supported by some goombas my age. I'd be at an assisted living home in Boca Raton doing luncheons. Nice to be here at the luncheon at Copa del Vista. So.
That's awesome, yeah. So tell me a little more about your experience in Boston. I'm sure you must have some crazy stories from back in the old days of,
Well, one of my favorite stories in Boston was I didn't used to drink. Right? Now, as you can tell by my bloated, steroid-like face, I've changed that. I'm going for that bloated look. How am I doing? But one night I was doing Knicks, and the night before I got a ticket because I backed up on 93. It was snowing out, and I was totally sober. And I backed up, and I went down the ramp. Cop pulls me over. He looks at me and goes, "You're sober." I go, "Yeah," and I didn't have a drink. He goes, "It makes you even crazier, right? What were you doing?" I said, "I didn't know where I was." And he said, "You can't back up on an expressway." Anyway, I was up here, and I won't tell the ethnicity of the cops, but 5 cops after the show came to offer to fix the ticket for me. And I thought, man, it's good to be at a place that's got integrity.
That's awesome, yeah. How do you feel about the Boston snow, though? Are you a fan of that stuff?
Boston snow?
Yeah.
Well, living in L.A., it doesn't bother me at all. I hear about it, 100 inches. It didn't make a difference to me if it was 200 inches or an inch. I wasn't here. Now I'm here and it's spring. I'm not saying there's a correlation between me and the sun coming out, but let's face it, there's something in the air. The buzz is around town. Dom Irrera's in town. He doesn't look good, so go see him now. He might not be back.
Oh, that's great.
You were asking me about the podcast before, and it's very interesting because we've kind of taken power away from the suits. Before, it used to be like The Tonight Show and Letterman and all that. Now, it's like Rogan. I'm on a death squad with Rogan his podcast. Bill Burr, I'd done his. Mark Maron, all those guys. And Joey Diaz, he was saying, how much Brian Callen. So it's kind of cool. We all go on each other's shows. We book each other. We don't have to audition.
That's great. No, I love it, and I love the whole podcast landscape. And it's funny though. I'm looking at a lot of these podcasts, like you mentioned, Bill Burr and Joe Rogan, and I feel like a lot of them are Boston comics too that are coming.
Yeah, that's
into
true.
It.
I didn't even think of that.
And I mean, in your perspective, as being not from the Boston comedy scene, like you didn't grow up in the scene, being an announcer, what would you say would be the reason why Boston produces so many great comedians?
I don't know. I mean, I just know that there's no other city that had homegrown comedians more than Boston that were good. San Francisco was probably second, but see, L.A. and New York people moved there, so that you can't really judge them next to Boston, because Boston actually, and some of the guys made so much money they never left here. They used to have their own nights, Don Gavin night, Steve Sweeney night, Leary. But it is interesting. I mean, it's the only city, it stands alone. I sound like I'm sucking up to the city, but it's true. It stands alone as far as quality comics come out of it. And not just one type. I mean, Stephen Wright to Lenny Clark, Intelligent and more intelligent. How's that, Len? I say it right?
For sure. And out of all those groups, all those different styles of comedians that did come from here, is there any particular comic that you either influenced you a lot or that you look to as being like, wow, I love that person's style of comedy, specifically from Boston?
Well, Lenny is a real Boston comic, and he's a real man. Like, he's like a really tough guy, which I like, because I grew up, like a lot of the New York guys are kind of wimpy, talking about their mom and, crying in their soup. But Brogan's one of the strongest, not just because he's my friend, because I have a lot of friends that are stand-ups, and some of them suck. But he's great. He's always original, always writing,
Definitely. Now, I got to ask you, we were talking about this.
No, don't ask me that. Whatever it is, I don't like your attitude already. I don't like the way you're going with this. I went out of here. You got 2 more questions, and I'm back in my room.
All right.
Alone, being a celebrity.
There we go.
My bathrobe and slippers, like Moses. What were you gonna say?
But yeah, we were talking about a little bit before we started about your new endeavor into the musical world, man. Tell me about it.
Well, what happened was I used to be on tour with Cher all the time, and I don't know if we played here. I know we played Worcester, but I think we might have played here. But one of my friends said to me one time walking around, he goes, "Hey Dom, how about a joke?" And I go, "Hey Dave, how about a song?" And he goes, "All right." So they sang a song. So we started singing. And then I picked up the tour with her again when she was on her Farewell to the Never End tour. And it was a lot of fun. And one of the musical director and I are friends. And long story short, he had a girlfriend who found a receipt for flowers for this girl from Israel. And she was her 30th birthday. And the girlfriend thought, oh, that's really sweet of him. Then she saw her picture and she flipped out and she left him. And I didn't mean to be witty or anything, or was mean it to be funny. I said, it's too bad. If only she had been ugly, it'd still be together. And we wrote a song called, because it's true. Like, if the girl was ugly, she'd say, well, what a warm heart you have. But the girl was beautiful, so you son of a bitch, I can't believe. So that song, and then we did another one after that, and then the one that you heard, just to disappoint you further, just about a guy constantly disappointing a woman. My favorite line in it is, every time I think of you, I get distracted by something more interesting. Just always disappointing her. That's where it came in.
Now, do you take a similar approach to when you're writing lyrics to how you write a joke? Is there a lot of correlation between the two?
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, the songs are very much like my jokes in the sense that they're not that funny, but they're clever, they're witty. No, it's the hardest thing. And I got to tell you, can I talk to the young comics? It doesn't get easier. Everybody thinks, oh, you must have a formula. I have no formula. I don't know how to write a joke. It just happens, and it doesn't happen. It's so weird, Some people do. I mean, some people sit down and grind it out. I can't. I'm a comedian savant, a joke monkey.
Well, now, what would your advice be, though, to up-and-coming comics?
My advice to up-and-coming comics? Trying to get into something you do better than this. Because I got to tell you, I saw your set the other night. The crowd was good. It was you that lost them. When they said, say something funny, I mean, that's a really mean thing to say to a comedian, but I wish you would have. There's no really, you can't crush somebody's dreams. It's very hard. It's very hard. Only people, I'm not saying I'm brilliant or wonderful, but maybe this interpretive dance will let you know how I feel. No, it's so random. You never know. I've seen guys, there's one guy, he was a waiter at Four Seasons in L.A., and he asked me about stand-up, and I'm thinking, I'm just trying to be as nice as I can and polite. You know who Sebastian is? Sebastian Manicasi, or I forget his last name, but he's a great guy. He's actually a friend. I just don't remember because he always goes by one name, like Plato, Aristotle, Scherer, Madonna, and Sebastian. But he turned out to be a great comedian.
Awesome. And I got one more question for you. So people are coming to your show this weekend.
I hope they're coming.
Well, what do you hope the people that do come? What do you hope they take away from your show? Is there any feeling that
I hope they take away anger and prejudice and look at pettiness. I think it's important to be petty in life. Because life is too long, so you might as well go out there and hurt somebody. No, I don't know. I just want them to have a good time. I have no message. My message is love. Love the little people, the scum and the vermin. I don't know, I'm just a mook that tells jokes, or almost jokes.
Well, I think it's all.
And it's good to be here. That's the way usually people begin, but I'm saying, I'm ending it. It's good to be here. Clever. That's what I did. I did a twist on that.